there's so many ways to go about the final game of the NBA season. And there's so many different ways to figure this thing out. From the Pacers' point of view, in a remarkable season where they had the second most wins in the NBA since the calendar turned to 2025 and had one of the most incredible runs of all time from beginning to end with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And you saw what the Pacers did in the playoffs, all playoffs long, where nobody thought they could do it. And Tyrese Haliburton kept leading all these comebacks against the Bucks and the Cavs and the Knicks and potentially on the Oklahoma City Thunder. And Tyrese Haliburton's Achilles pops at the end of the first quarter after he scored not one, not two, but three three-pointers, and it looked like this was going to be a Game 7 for the ages between two teams that a lot of people thought weren't going to provide us an entertaining NBA Finals. And here we were for only the fifth Game 7 of this century, and Haliburton goes down, and you could tell right away.
That's horrible.
Right away that this was his Achilles. We've seen it before in the finals with Kevin Durant, former Oklahoma City Thunder, who got traded to the Rockets earlier in the day. I mean, this is the sort of stuff you cannot make up, and you don't ever want to see.
Yeah.
And then the game begins to unfold, and the Pacers do Pacers things, like hanging in there and rallying and being resilient, which has been their mantra all playoffs long. And everybody's counting them out, and they're right there to pull themselves back in. And it looks like this is going to be the ultimate edition of that Pacers story in the storybook, in the fabled storybook, because they took a 1-point lead into halftime after watching Tyrese Haliburton.
That was unbelievable. Go
down, and everybody knew it was their worst nightmare for him and his family with an Achilles pop. And then the third quarter hits, and the Oklahoma City Thunder team that won 68 games because they had the MVP of the league, because they had a defensive unit that had Gonzaga's Gumby right there in the middle, blocking shots, creating havoc. Lou Dort creating havoc. Alex Caruso creating havoc. You know, on occasion maybe grabbing the wrist of a player and not having it called, but that's the sort of stuff that happens. One would think sometimes, and as well it shouldn't, but this team, Hartenstein and Jalen Williams, and all of them collectively together, coming out of the locker room after halftime, surviving a TJ McConnell flurry for the ages as well, coming off the bench, but creating the turnovers and turning them into points and winning that quarter 34-20, going on a 19-2 run that essentially ended it. And the Thunder that we have seen get built brick by brick showed up in the third quarter in front of their frenzied fans and put the bow on this thing. Yes, we can sit here and say the fourth quarter, when they hit a dry spell, what would have happened had Haliburton been out there? And we'll discuss the Haliburton stuff later on. But the Oklahoma City Thunder deserve their flowers separate from all of that. With a head coach that they took from their G League team in 2020 in Mark Daigneault. And building this team brick by brick, player by player, to form a championship team that came up with 68 regular season wins and 84 overall. That, in front of their home fans especially, created so much havoc and so much defensive pressure to turn it into points on the other end, and then to have one of the greatest players of this century in terms of certainly what he's been building and certainly what he did this year in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And you put it all together, and you see a team that is totally grassroots, built from the ground up as a unit, as a team, as a championship squad that got it done in the 2024-2025 season to the tune of 84 wins. Only the Jordan Bulls of the late 90s and the Golden State Warriors in their dynastic run had more wins combined on the year. And together, I mean, they had a coach of the G League team, as I mentioned, the Oklahoma City Blue, a former Holy Cross assistant as their head coach, and a unit, a team, a roster built by Sam Presti, who came with the team from Seattle 17 years ago. And a team that once upon a time had a super team together based on who they drafted in Durant and Westbrook and Harden, and couldn't come up with a championship in the super team era. Now, taking parts that they built from Canada and the West Coast Conference in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Lou Dort, thanks to Canada, and the WCC Gonzagas, Chet Holmgren, and Santa Clara's Jalen Williams, and they take Alex Caruso from the Lakers/Bulls, and they take Isaiah Hartenstein from the Clippers/Knicks, and they put it all together with their drafting, and maybe, just maybe, put a final nail in the coffin of the super team era. And come up with a team, a squad that has a breakout superstar at the top and a bunch of young stud players with a massive future in front of them. And the first parade in the nation's heartland for an NBA championship with 84 combined wins. And their first title in the 17 years in Oklahoma City. Congratulations to those fans in that franchise. That's what I thought of when I was watching it last night. Gutting to see Haliburton go down.
Yeah.
Absolutely gutting to see that happen. I mean, for the only thing I could think of with that, the Haliburton stuff. The Shining. You know how I keep mentioning The Shining every now and then here?
Danny.
Well, the Scatman Crothers character, the man who could shine with Danny, sees trouble in the state of Colorado from his spot in South Florida, and he makes a long journey. Long journey, an epic journey, a journey with purpose, a journey that nobody thought he could actually make. Finally gets inside the Overlook Hotel, and spoiler alert, within seconds gets an axe in the chest. And that's not exactly what you thought the end of the journey would be like. Didn't see it coming. You sensed foreboding because it had all the makings of a disastrous finish physically. We have seen how many Achilles injuries have we seen born out of a calf strain that you're wondering if somebody is
coming back too soon
from, or wondering if they're making the right move. And he makes not one, not two, but 3 3-pointers. And you're thinking, this is a Haliburton night. And then with 4:55 to go in that first quarter, done.
9 points in 7 minutes.
It's just absolutely gutting for a guy who did what he did over and over and over again. The personification of the resilience of this team, the never say die, never quit style of play, the pace that the Pacers would keep up for Rick Carlisle. And he goes down in a heap with 4:55 to go in the first quarter. And then SGA is the one to come out with a 29-12 assist, 5 rebound, 2 block, 1 turnover game, which is the Haliburton stat line, right? Fill up the stat sheet for yourself, your teammates, play an all-around game, don't turn it over. Instead, the Pacers were the one that turned it over, and the Thunder turned it into points. It was just absolutely gutting to watch Tyrese Haliburton go down. And I know a lot of people are thinking that photograph on the screen there, where SGA is holding up the Larry O.B. in front of the Oklahoma City Thunder fans who were going nuts, that this photograph might not have happened had Haliburton been healthy, played the full game. His Achilles did not give way, and I understand that that's the 2 cents. But unfortunately, it did happen. And I think the Oklahoma City Thunder at the end of the day were just the better, deeper team. And I know that's not fair to say right now.
That's
for Pacers fans.
Bottom line right there. The best team won, period.
With the best player in the NBA this year. Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.